Good. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the United Truth, and I am your boy C Breeze. So let's go through today's transfer news, guys. It is a little bit quiet, and it has been for the last few days, but I want to bring you any you might be hearing, and I also want to go through try to sign. So let's go into the usual. Let's go into Jadon Sancho. Yesterday he was on just a normal video call, I think it was through Twitter or something like that, or something like that. Anyway, by so many United fans begging him to come to the club, and he ends up having to cut the call off or something like that. So that's literally as far as we've got when it comes to an update on Jadon Sancho. It's it tells us nothing. All it tells us is that Jadon Sancho doesn't really want to engage about Manchester United or anything like that. We haven't really been hearing anything. We haven't heard anything from Dortmund. So to them, it's final. A few days ago, they did say they're going to stay for at least one more year. It's kind of what I alluded to before, that it could be a Ronaldo situation where he's going to give them one more year. But I think giving him one more year, I then think if it's post-pandemic, post-COVID, I then don't think that we're front runners if we don't have a good season this season. It's literally turned like that for Manchester United. Where it's not a case of every single player wants to come to United like we all believe. It's just literally now's your time to really get him. Otherwise, next season you could have a lot more rivals, and especially with the top four not going to be cemented the way that we're going, it could be a situation where we could be left again trying to chase players that literally are looking elsewhere, and it's happened so many times now. Will we be surprised? So yeah, Jadon Sancho, nothing more on any updates on Jadon Sancho. So let's move to Usman Fati, I believe. Yes, so Barcelona, youngster, 17-year-old, looks like a cracking winger, potentially become a great winger, but we don't know that at the moment. And apparently Manchester United are going to bid 153 million for him. I mean, literally, if we was to sign him for 153 million, I'll literally get a hat. I will literally eat my hat. I'm not sure if it's to sell papers. I'm not sure if it's to do with Fati's agent or anything like that. Trying to push for a new deal at Barcelona, because I can't imagine that they'll be trying to offer him too much. So Manchester United are always the fall guy, especially how things have been. But it's just not realistic, is it? It's just not realistic. So 153 million apparently is the bid that we're happy to push for. Well, apparently we're haggling over the Jadon Sancho 3-year different gap. Jadon Sancho is fully established, but apparently we want to chase Usman Fati from Barcelona. So make of that what you will. I know what I make of it, and yeah, you know what I think of it. It's a load of rubbish. So yeah, then I want to move on to Chelsea's signing. So it looks as though they've got Ben Chilwell, and lead the hysteria. Oh, Chelsea have done it again. They're really doing everything perfectly. Blah 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 blah. Another good signing for him, but when it comes through, great signing actually. I think he's a very solid left back. He's actually exactly what they need. Reminds me of a little bit of like Leighton Baines, just because of the fact that he's technically very good, like with crossing and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So you won't be surprised if he could help with free kicks and stuff like that. Another solid signing. Everyone thinks that this has been really swift how they've worked on him. But apparently we do everything slow, which is the truth. But if you think about Wan-Bissaka last season, this is probably around about the same sort of time, isn't it? Like we all knew that Chelsea were after Chilwell, and they finally got Chilwell. So yeah, just the same as United, it sometimes takes a little bit longer to get, but it looks like they've got their man. At the end of the day, we can't think everything that Chelsea do is perfect, but we have to appreciate the fact that they are moving swiftly. And at the moment, we, just like few other clubs, are just staying quite silent, and we still don't know as to why. But it looks as though now, just to kind of throw us off the scent of disappointment, because we know that United tried to leak as much out as possible. Pogba's agent, obviously this is old news now, but Pogba's agent is saying that he's happy to sign. He's going to turn down everything, and apparently he's loving how things are going. So for me, it's not exciting for me because I love Paul Pogba, but it's not exciting because as soon as the season finished, I never thought to myself, Juventus were going to spend 100 million. Or 80 to 100 million, or 80 to 100 million on Pogba. Also, there was enough towards the end of the season for someone like Paul Pogba to potentially stay as well. We got into the Champions League, which is what he would have wanted. And I think that other top teams, their budget are going to be their budget's going elsewhere at the end of the day. So I know that the United propaganda will be trying to spin that just so that he can deflect, but it's not deflecting. There's a lot of, I'm pretty calm, but there's a lot of angry United fans. Especially, it's been exasperated by the transfer stuff that Chelsea are doing as well. I think that we're reading far too much into it. Like I said earlier, the Ben Chilwell, it wasn't even a saga. But Wan-Bissaka last year, everyone thought it was a saga, but it's the same sort of time frame, I think, from when the window was open. It's just with Manchester United, as we know, it gets blown out of proportion. It's the biggest thing going at the moment. So we have to right back, and it takes ages, and all of a sudden, you can't get him. And the same with Chelsea. As soon as they're in, they're clinical, they do everything straight away, which I tend to disagree with on that particular point. But in retrospect, Chelsea do tend to do everything quite clinically, quite quickly, but they're able to do a lot quieter. They're able to do things quietly and then just come out. Whereas with Manchester United, if we link with a player, then that is literally it. You'll hear every single fan channel saying, we're after this player, we need him, we need him, we need him, we need him. It's all over the papers. While that's going on, Spurs will sign someone quietly. Chelsea will keep going along and getting their players. Arsenal are getting their players, and we're getting nobody at the moment. So it's getting towards the point where I said yesterday about not panicking. It's just getting towards the point where I'm just kind of like, I know what's going on. I think that we don't need to sell to buy. I think that there's money there, but I also think that we haven't got enough assets regarding players as well, who are on good wages, who just potentially won't leave the club easily, and we're going to have to pay some of those players off to start again because of so many mistakes that happened before. And this is going to be the Glazers' angle. This is going to be Edward's angle. We might only get one or two players, if that. But we are running out of time, and that is the problem. And when you start to run out of time, the other team has to replace the player that you're after, and also they can see you coming, they can see the desperation to sign players, and that's kind of like what happened. If you think about it, Bournemouth turned us down for Josh King in January. I mean, when does that happen? But it happened. So teams can see Manchester United coming, start throwing money on top of the amount that the person's worth, and we all know how it goes. So that leads me on to transfers, and that leads me on to LVG. So LVG's come out and said, basically, he was after Neymar, he was after Lewandowski, he was after Sadio Mane, he was after James Milner. The list goes on. He was after absolutely everybody. Now, everyone's got into a little bit of a frenzy about it, and I kind of understand to say, like, United have been inept, and we kind of all know this anyway, to be fair, with so many things. But we also got to think to ourselves, LVG, of course, to say that you was after Neymar, that's not a difficult thing to be after, difficult player, or Lewandowski. And LVG was saying that as Manchester United, you've got to be going after the top player, and I tend to agree. I completely agree with him on that. What I do slightly disagree with is with the fact that people are now jumping all over that and kind of like saying, well, this is kind of like what happened to LVG and stuff like that. He always had his he always had his like third or fourth choice or whatever. But at the end of the day, if I'm Manchester United now, I could say, if I'm Ferguson or if I'm anybody, if I was Jose, I could say I wanted Messi, I wanted Ronaldo, I wanted Lewandowski, but they never gave me the players. The fact of the matter is this: if anyone can name me more than 3 or 4 superstars that have been brought to the Premier League, right, I want to hear who you class as a superstar, because there hasn't been many. From my idea of actual superstar. I'm talking about a fully established superstar, like what Real Madrid, like what Barcelona get. Now, for me, has there been a Neymar coming to the Premiership? I know that Chelsea were linked with him before he went to Barcelona. Did he come to the Premier League? No. Did Ronaldinho? No. The biggest players are Paul Pogba is one, and you'd have to say Andrei Shevchenko. Apart from that, in the Premier League, we create great players at clubs, and that's where we stand with it. So some of the players that LVG was after, rightfully so, and we are Manchester United. And at the end of the day, that's when if we talk about superstars, that's when we got like Falcao, who was a footballing superstar. I know that he had his injuries, but he was a footballing superstar. So we started to move towards that Galacticos for LVG. I just think at the end of the day, it's a little bit of both, and then you meet in the middle. So he's right. We are Manchester United. You have to think big. You have to go for these players. And at the end of the day, he will be disappointed that he didn't get the players that he actually wanted. Whether James Milner would have come to United after Leeds and Man City, I very much doubt it anyway. I didn't really care about having him as a player, but I know that LVG, he liked his multifunctional players to play in different positions, so he would have been perfect. But Neymar, Lewandowski, no, not really. With Sadio Mane, we should have done better with that particular deal as well. Our stock was a lot higher than Liverpool's. We should have done a lot better. So I can agree with him on that. But what I will disagree with him on is that a lot of the time, I think he was yesterday's man in regards to the new players. Someone like Wayne Rooney, who was coming towards the end of his Manchester United career, has obviously come out and said that he loved LVG and he was his favourite manager. That's because of the structure that would have been created to save his older legs. So I can completely understand that. But in his younger years, I don't think he would have liked LVG. And I think that that's the thing. When it comes to LVG, I think at so many points in his career, early in his career, the young players used to love him. But I think as he gets older with a new generation, I think that there was a lost generation. I just don't think that they adhered to him anyway. And I don't think some of those signings probably wanted to come to play under him as well. That's another thing as well. So your club can only do so much about trying to influence players to come. And we only qualified for the Champions League once in that time as well. So all these top players that you're saying to go for, I'm just a little bit surprised that he's catching so much attention in regards to saying that he wasn't heavily backed. Because out of all the managers, I think he was pretty much backed the most. He obviously wanted Hummels, he obviously wanted Ramos. Again, there is definitely something, I tend to agree, there's definitely something at United. When it comes to Ramos, no, he was never going to leave Real Madrid. But say with Matt Hummels, might have been possibilities, but again, you're trying to take him away from Bayern Munich. I think he was at Dortmund at the time, but it's Bayern Munich in Germany. They're going to win the league. They're guaranteed the league each season. And he's German. Was you really going to get him? So there's like unrealistic targets, because like I said earlier, I could quite easily say, I want Messi, I want, like in today's football actually, I want Messi, I want Mane, and I want Firmino with Manchester United. Why can't we get them? Or I want Cristiano Ronaldo and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of understanding from LVG's point of view. He wanted those players, but you've got to have understanding that you can't get all these superstars in a couple of seasons just because your name's Manchester United. You need a little bit more than that. But it does make me wonder when it comes to these particular signings, like maybe it's a Premier League thing, because I'm not too sure that the Premier League and the Premier League clubs have ever really signed stars. So it could either be the Premier League thing or just in general, we just ain't the greatest of negotiators when it comes to these particular deals. And I think it's got that far now that we've just become the club to link a player with. And if you link a player with that, with Manchester United, they could either get a pay rise, or they get a new deal, or they could potentially come to United, or it could be just to get another club interested. But we're not the team where, you know, you have a feeling that maybe someone like Ben Chilwell might have showed Leicester that he was unhappy, you know, if Leicester were pricing him out. Or there's other players who, you know, Hazard was pretty much saying that he was going to leave for a while. I'm trying to think of some other players who were a little bit more vocal about wanting to leave. And I just don't get that sense from United. Like, so when you've got, say, Jadon Sancho, the easiest thing would for him to say that, I love Dortmund, but do a little bit like what Pogba did and kind of like say, but the future's unclear, but maybe I do need a new challenge, and kind of just put it out there a little bit, but he's done nothing. And I just don't think that this is hunger to go to this Manchester United team with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with how the whole setup is. I don't think agents are excited to deal with Matt Judd and Ed Woodward, or maybe they are excited because at the end of the day they'll line their pockets because they don't know how to negotiate a deal properly. But in general, there's not really a rush to come to Manchester United. That's how it feels at the moment. Maybe that might all change in the next week or two. At the end of the day, we've got till the end of October for this transfer window to shut. And I do think that there is a little bit of a game of poker because not everyone's signing big players. It is literally just Chelsea. And if you think about who Man City have brought, they brought Nathan Ake and they brought Torres from Norwich. I mean, Norwich. She played for Norwich from Valencia. And Liverpool, they brought a left back from Olympiacos. So there haven't been any big signings apart from Chelsea. And I know that as a fan base, we finished on the same points as Chelsea. We need to be pushing in that direction. But with the Chelsea signings, I don't think that they were that difficult to make, if that makes sense. So the one that is difficult is Havertz, and it's only just being done now. So, yeah, for me, I'm panicking in regards to I know who's dealing with the transfer business, but I'm also just kind of like, surely they're not stupid enough to go into a Premier League season with the players that we've got now, especially when you've got Champions League, especially when your manager's already expressed the doubts that this squad is good enough to do both. It was good enough for the Europa, but not good enough for that. So, yeah, it's all quiet on the Western Front. There's nothing really much to talk about when it comes to our transfers. I want to know what you guys think. Smash a subscribe, smash a like, guys, and I'm on to the next one. See you guys later.